I am starting many times with this slide because I think this is the key to understanding of the importance of invoicing and invoice data in banking. If you see, this is the representation of data sets in the purchase to pay or order to cash process. And you can see that the invoice data is the widest and deepest data source during the process, which means that if you want to pay something or if you want to finance, and then you are always going back to the invoice data, which is also true from the other aspect. Each invoice must be paid at once, or there must be a source of financing from which the invoice is paid. So that is how invoicing and payments and invoicing and financing activities are closely related to each other. And what is also worth mentioning that in the paper-based world, these activities could not be connected with IT systems because it was very difficult, but the technology now enables that these activities are provided in an end-to-end single solution as well. And the data can flow between invoice data and banking data seamlessly. So this is the thing, and this is the opportunity which can be captured by banks and financial institutions. And yes, so this is the, the representation of the invoice. You can see that with the introduction of invoicing, now there is still a PDF invoice, which can be either printed out or viewed or saved and stored. But behind this PDF invoice, which is a human readable version of the invoice, there is always a structured data invoice which stores all the invoice data in a data file in a structured format, which can be processed by machines and which enables the automation of the invoice processing. And this is where we are arriving, that digital invoice management and core banking services complement each other. And if banks and financial service providers want to provide an end-to-end solution, then they should start thinking about providing value-added services, or at least about integrations with partners who provide these digital invoice management services, and they will need to have the capabilities to integrate with these third-party providers or and manage the invoice data which is given by these third-party data providers. And Olena mentioned that why we are talking about this today is that because invoicing is becoming mandatory in more and more countries worldwide, but also in Europe, a lot of countries are introducing mandatory invoicing, and this means that invoice data, structured invoice data, will be available. And as I mentioned, each invoice is a payment or financing opportunity for the bank. So the bank must capture this data and data source to make its operations and processes more seamless. So this also means that if you have a structured invoice data, then you can digitalize your processes, you can initiate or request payments based on the invoice data, or you can initiate a financing process based on invoice data. So there will be no manual input necessary from the customer side, which means on one hand cost saving for the bank because you don't have to deal with paper. On the other hand, it will be a seamless payment or financing experience for the customer. And if you as a bank don't do this, then others will definitely find this opportunity. So that's why we are having this webinar, so that we raise the awareness about this issue. And if you have the data in place, then obviously you can use it either for risk modeling or segment modeling, and you can also use the invoice data for cash flow projections to offer financing for retail and SME customers alike.